and get started. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. We have Miss Dana Jackson, and she's going to be talking to us regarding STEM and math, or STEAM and math. So Dana, without further ado, I'm just going to hand it over to you. If you need anything, you just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Dana Jackson. I am a fifth grade math and science teacher at Lakewood School in Buchanan, Tennessee. And I'm just going to be talking about some things that I do in my classroom that are STEAM and STEM related. We all know what STEAM or STEM is, but I really liked this quote, so I put it up here. It's an educational approach to learning that uses science, math, technology, engineering for guiding student inquiry, dialogue, and critical thinking. And we all know how important those skills are for our students. There is a site called Green Kid Crafts. I've linked it at the bottom of this slide. I've gone there for a couple of resources. One in particular, there was a STEAM project about building a constellation box. Constellations and stars are part of our fifth grade standards in Tennessee. So they had listed 7 benefits of STEAM, and I really thought this one was interesting. This was actually number 7, the well-being and mental health of our children. And we all know how important that is these days. It's so important for our students to converse, to carry on conversations. It's so important for them to learn how to converse in a positive manner. They need to learn how to disagree in an effective manner as well. So we all know that when we're writing, acting, drawing, dancing, some of us, it makes us happy, but it also makes our children happy as well. And that's why I feel like it's important that we need to incorporate some of these activities within our daily teaching. The first project that I'm going to talk about is one of my favorites. It's called Run a Food Truck. It's a project-based learning activity. I teach 5th grade with another teacher, Miss Star Peterson, and she also teaches math and science. So we plan together. We do lots of fun things together, as you're going to see as I kind of go over this particular project. Now, we know teachers pay teachers is good sometimes and not so great others. I highly recommend this project. We love it and the students love it. But I'm going to show you just a quick preview of it, and then let me see if I can pull up the slideshow. Okay, I know the pictures are kind of small here, but here's the example that comes along, or that goes along with the Teachers Pay Teachers preview. This particular student came up with the pit barbecue, and that is their food truck. And as you can see, students also design the inside of the food truck as well. These are all the handouts that come with this project. So it's super teacher friendly. There's not a lot of prep work involved. It's very self-explanatory as well. The students start off by researching food trucks. They come up with something that is of interest to them. Then they come up with a business name. They create a logo. Then they create a slogan. So we talk about different slogans that they have heard just in everyday life, and how they are catchy. And so we try to teach them to make sure theirs is catchy, because the whole point of owning a food truck is to make money. So you want yours to stand out from the rest. So this is a very creative project that the students love to do as well. After they come up with their logo and their slogan, I let them get on Canva. And there is actually a free version of Canva that students can access from their Chromebooks at school. And they learn quickly what they can and can't access, but they love creating those logos and slogans for the side of their truck. After that, they begin to build their menu. So we come up with different sides, different main dishes, condiments, drinks, this is just one of their favorites. So I'm going to go back if I can get back. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to get this out of the way so I can see. Okay, so there are several standards that are covered in this particular activity. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing decimals, explaining patterns in the number of zeros when multiplying and dividing by powers of 10, recognizing volume as an attribute of solid figures, another volume standard. Then we have adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, applying and extending previous understandings of multiplication to multiply a fraction by a whole number or a fraction by a fraction, and interpreting fraction as division and dividing fractions. So several different standards are covered within this particular STEAM project. So I took a couple of pictures from student work from last year. These are both teachers' kids within my building. So on the left is actually Miss Star Peterson's daughter. She's the 5th grade teacher that also teaches math and science with me. You can see the menu at the top. She came up with an idea to do a smoothie food truck. It's smoothie time. Thickest smoothies underneath her little logo. And then her slogan is today is going to be smoothie. So I thought these were very creative. And both of these girls are very artistic. They like to draw and paint. So they really had fun with this project. You can kind of see the layout over here. You can look at her menu. She's got her sides, her drinks, the condiments, and the main courses. Since she did a smoothie truck, she didn't really want to do food items, but I told her, I said, well, what could we do so that it would give more people more options when they came to visit your food truck? So she opted to go with like bagels, waffles, biscuits, croissants. And on the right, this one I thought was so creative. The name of her food truck was Mugshot. And it was mostly drinks, coffee drinks, and things like that. And her slogan was, you're never too bitter for a sweet drink. And also, if you can see, I don't know if you can tell from these pictures, they're probably not super clear on your end, but they also made their menus on Canva as well. Here are 2 more examples of student work. On the left, we have Sasha's Salty Soups. She did a soup truck, which I thought was very creative, and she had a few different breads to go along with her soups. As you can see above the food truck on the left, you can see that there is a recipe page. So the students have to find a recipe for one of the items that is listed on their main course menu. So she chose to find a recipe for her broccoli and cheddar soup. So they write the original recipe, but then they have to double it. And that's where the multiplication of fractions comes into play, and then triple it. So they're multiplying all those ingredients by 3. And then the last column is where they split their recipe in half. So they could multiply it by half or they could divide it by 2. Obviously, either way, they're going to get the same answer. This second one, or the one on the right, I thought was very creative as well. Nothing brings people together like pasta. It's Paisley's Pasta Parlor. I loved how she incorporated all the P's there. It's very catchy. She has her main courses. As you can see, it's pasta, chicken Alfredo, spaghetti, fettuccine, macaroni and cheese, garlic pasta. She came up with a couple of combo ideas as well, and that was an extension task that was added on to this project as well. She has starters, sides, and drinks. Over to the right of her desk, you can see that she had written down the recipe for lasagna. So that was the one that she used. So after the students have created their food trucks, they have worked in Canva, created their menus, their logos, and their slogans, Miss Star and I visit each other's classrooms. So as you can see right here on the left, I had lots of teachers' kids and parents that I know. Some of them I did not, so I covered their faces. But the little boy on the left is taking an order from another student. So the students will find a food truck and they will order from it. The person who owns the food truck has to write down their order. And we have little memo pads that look just like the ones that the servers will use in the restaurants. They add up the total cost for the customer. And then last year, we incorporated another standard, which was multiplying and dividing by powers of 10 so that they could estimate their tax. So that's one of our standards in fifth grade. So in order to get the tax, they would multiply by a tenth, or they would divide by 10 in order to estimate tax. So it would end up being 10% instead of the 9.75, but it gives them a roundabout figure, and it also goes along with our standards. So they fill that out, they give them a total, and then they hand the total to the customer. The customer then tells them that they're going to pay with a $20 bill or two $20 bills, or it might be three $20 bills, four $20 bills, or a $100 bill. So then the food truck owner has to figure out how much change they get back. So they're adding and subtracting decimals there as well. And then over here on the right, that is Jace's Jerky. I thought that was so creative because it was a J and a J. A jerky truck I thought was fantastic. I've never seen one, but he came up with several different jerky recipes to put on his menu, and I just love that. And as you look, the little girl beside Jace on the right, she has her menu up. A lot of the students decided to leave their menus up on their computers because they were in color and they looked better. So I allowed them to leave their computers up and let the other students order from that menu. Now, last year we ran out of time. We did not get to work with the volume part of this particular project, but 2 years ago we did. So these pictures are from 2 years ago. This is a 3D, as you can see, food truck. So when I was going over the handouts that go along with it, I don't know if you saw it or not, they can create the inside of their food truck as well. So the ceiling of the food truck lifts off and they get to design the inside of it too. And then volume then comes into play. So there is another picture of one that is of the 3D food truck. That's another couple of students that have parents in the building. This one I thought was very creative. If you can see the little food truck, it's so neat. And the top of it, he has a cactus on it, and the title or the name of his food truck was T-Balls Taco Mobile. And the menu is very bright and fun as well. And if you look back here on the whiteboard, I don't know if you can see it, you can see where we have put the notepads up to show the students how they are to take orders. And we also talk about, you know, if you own a food truck and someone is coming to order from your food truck, how do you think you want to treat them in order for them to come back and visit you again? So there are so many things that you can do with this particular project. The next one I'm going to talk about is a conservation of matter and mass lab. And this is actually what we are working on right now in class. It covers standards of conversions, metric conversions. It also talks about multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. The main science standard here is matter and its interactions, analyzing and interpreting data to show the amount of matter is conserved when it changes form. This was a science activity, and then I turned it into a math. So that's something that you can think about as well. Use what you have, but how can you incorporate another subject area within that particular project? So students make a prediction at the beginning. Does the mass of matter change when it changes states or properties? And then they come back at the end and talk about, was their prediction correct or not? This concept is really tough for students to understand. So this lab, I feel, as a fifth grade science teacher, is very necessary in order for them to see what conservation of mass and matter actually is. So we have the balance scales and we have gram stackers. So we give the students a sugar cube, a little cup of water, a piece of paper, and a sugar wafer. They find the mass of each of those objects. So then they change that object's physical property somehow. So a lot of the students will take the sugar cube and they'll, take something and just break it up a little bit. And then, of course, the water, there's not much you can do with that. With a paper, students might crumple it up in a ball. And then the wafer, they may break it in half. So after that, they find the mass again. And obviously that mass is going to be the same. We tell them that every piece has to still be included when you find that mass again. So then they take that sugar cube that's been broken up. We give them a little pestle and mortar and they grind it up until it's just dusty. Then they will check the mass of that again. Notice that it has not changed. The paper, if they wadded it up, they might take it and cut it into little pieces. They notice the mass has not changed. The wafer, some of them will just crumble it up into just nothing but crumbs. And then when they check the mass, they realize that it has not changed. So they answer the questions that go along with it. Did the mass of the sugar and water change after combining? Did the mass change once the sugar dissolved in the water? Did the changing of the paper change its mass? So based on the data, what do you conclude? So that's the writing part of it. And then I added in a conversion sheet because I thought, hey, let's throw some math right in there with this science activity. So what they do is they take the mass of the sugar cube in grams, and then they'll convert it to centigrams. The mass of the water, they're going to convert it to kilograms because that is a 5th grade math standard. The mass of the paper in grams are going to convert it, and the wafer as well. At the bottom, I added in another standard just by simply asking the students to multiply by 10 to the 2nd power. That is a standard multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. And as you can see down here, I had this one, or in this box, it says multiply by 1/10 and multiply by 100th, which we know is the same thing as dividing by 10 or dividing by 100. So that's how I took a simple science experiment and added some math within it. Here are some pictures of this lab we did within the classroom. There's the balance scale. They have, it looks like there's a little cup of water in there. These are the gram stackers. So they're finding the mass in the classroom. Same thing here with these students. They're keeping up with their data as they go. And then this little girl just used that mortar and pestle to grind up her little sugar cube. When they put it in there and then they find the mass, they're going to find that it's the same unless they've lost a few little pieces of that. So moving on. This is another one that I like to do at this time of year. The students love it. We all kind of need a break from the monotony around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. So students plan a Thanksgiving meal for the class. We discuss as a class, what would be great for a Thanksgiving meal? What do we need? Do we need 7 turkeys to feed 20 people? So what we do is we divvy out those different dishes. A lot of the boys will say, well, I know how to fry a turkey. I've seen Dad fry a turkey. I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be your job. Or I know how to smoke a ham. My uncle smokes a ham. So that's your job. Then we talk about side dishes and dessert. So how many side dishes do you think we need for a class of 20? How many desserts do you think we might need? Then the students are going to plan what they're going to bring. They can even get recipes from home to use, something mom has made for Thanksgiving or grandmother. And I always make sure that I have extra recipes for the students that don't have one. Of some of the things that I usually will make for a Thanksgiving meal. So students will find the ingredients for their items and calculate how much is needed to feed the entire class. Then they'll figure the cost of preparing their item for the meal. So what they do here, they can go online. You can just Google Walmart and your local store, and they can find the prices of the ingredients that they need. And then they're going to have to take some of those fractions and they're going to be multiplying those out so that they can make sure that their dish is going to feed, the whole class. So this is a fun project that we like to do as well. I have some artistic students who also like to think about decor, like we need to decorate our table. So they'll research some fall decor, add that into their total cost. So the standards that are covered within the Thanksgiving meal planning are adding, subtracting, and multiplying whole numbers, decimals, and fractions. This is another purchase that we made probably 5 or 6 years ago from Teachers Pay Teachers. Again, very careful, but this one was fantastic. I went to link that on here and I could not find it. So it is by Core Coaches, but we bought it as a bundle, but I'm wondering if maybe they divided it up by day. So if you wanted to find this, you might could search Candy Cane Day by Core Coaches or Reindeer Day by Core Coaches. But there are several different, obviously, there's 12 different days that they have, and the activities that are within those are fantastic. So I'm going to show you first off the Candy Cane Day. Obviously, this is something that I bought. So I can't link this and share it with you, but I can show you what is within this bundle. Okay, so this is the Candy Cane Day examples. I know that I'm supposed to be talking about math mostly, and I will be, but I wanted to let you know that these activities have reading and social studies involved as well as science. They're just great. They're so easy to use. There's no prep work involved. At the beginning, there's a note that you can send home with the parents asking them to send candy canes. I usually supply some for the students, and then if they want to bring some more, then I allow them to bring some more. But these specific days usually start off with your reading activities first. So I'm going to kind of scroll through there. They always give examples, which I love. Here is the math activity that goes along with Candy Cane Day. So it's candy cane measurement. So the students will first measure their own candy cane to the nearest centimeter. Obviously, conversions are big in 5th grade. That's part of our standard. So they're going to convert those measurements to other metric units. Then they're going to measure a different candy cane, because candy canes, you know, they have the smaller ones and then they have the normal size candy canes. I try to make sure that we have an assortment of sizes. They will measure a different candy cane and make the conversions with that measurement. And here is again a sample page with answers. The students will then take their candy canes. I will put them in groups of about 3 to 4. And I will have them use their candy cane to measure different items within the room. So I might assign 3 or 4 students to take their candy cane and measure the height of the door. So that's the example that they use here. So a student had a candy cane that was 8 centimeters, and it took 25 of those candy canes to measure from the floor to the top of the door. Then they can figure out how many centimeters, millimeters, meters, and kilometers or kilometers that how tall that door is using their candy cane. So that's a fun project the kids love. I had pictures of that, but I did not put those in here from last year. I might send 3 or 4 students to measure the cubby using their candy canes. And I might send another group to measure the whiteboard using theirs. So this is a fun day as well. There's the conversion sheet that comes within this activity. The next thing math related that is in with our Candy Cane Day is line plots. Line plots are, they are very important. They will be on the test. Obviously, they're part of our standard, but sometimes it's hard to find questions, good questions that go along with line plots and graphs. So I love to use this one for that reason. So the students are going to measure their candy canes now either to the nearest ½ inch, quarter inch, or 1/8 of an inch. And then we're going to create a line plot to organize the individual results. So what I usually do is I put this the line plot graph. I put it up on my whiteboard where it's really big, and I just allow the students to go up there and plot their own candy cane measurement. After that, there is a page of questions that go along with that line plot, and they're great. What is the combined total of, and you can fill in the blank, 8 centimeter and 12 centimeter candy canes. So all of these questions are line plot questions that are very similar to what they would see on their MVPA test, case test, or TCAP. So this is a fantastic activity. And there is an example of a line plot that was done in class. Also, I know I'm supposed to be talking about math, but I have to show this to you because it's fun. There is a candy cane exchange story. The teacher reads the story. The students get in a circle. They have their candy cane. And it's one of those where you pass it to the right or left. So it was the night right before Christmas. So they pass the candy canes around. And then at the end of the story, the one they end up with is the one that they get to keep. Also, how are candy canes made? That's another part of this particular Christmas day. They do their research. They find out how candy canes are made. They find out what ingredients are in those candy canes, and then they find out that a batch is about 3,200 candy canes. It takes about a half an hour to make a box. Then what I like to do at that point, obviously there's some science involved here. I like to take and do a scoot around the room. I don't know if you guys have ever done those before, but I love to do scoots because it gets the students up and out of their seats and they're talking about math, but they're not stuck in their desk. What I do is I will take some questions, 10, 12, 14 different questions, and I'll post them around the room, and I will make an answer sheet for the students. They all have their own clipboard, and then they will go from question to question, answering those with their partners. So that would be something that I might incorporate here with candy canes as well. Okay, let me go back to my, all right, let's see. All right, we talked about Candy Cane Day. Oh, I did miss the science part of that. Although I'm supposed to be talking about math, I just want to say this because I love this part too. There is a rate of dissolution activity that goes along with this as well. So they have ice cold water, hot water. They have soda, which I usually use Sprite because I keep all of the liquids clear, and then vinegar. And they take the candy canes and they put them in there and they record how fast they are dissolving. And then at the end, we talk about why did the candy cane in the hot water dissolve the fastest. And then we talk about the particles and how they're moving and all that. So, all right. Reindeer Day is also a very, very fun one that the students love to do. It's a force in motion. I have incorporated measurement within that one. And here is a picture of 2 students last year working on this particular activity. So what I do is I measure out the string, and most of the strings are different lengths, and they could be 3 feet, they could be 4 feet, they could be 3.5 feet. So the first thing the students do when they get to their station is they measure their string. Then we convert it. We convert it from inches to feet or feet to inches, and then we convert it from centimeters to millimeters, etc. So there's a good conversion activity there before we actually do the project. As you can see on my board, I had the standard up, or the question, the essential question: how do forces change motion, and how do forces affect the way an object moves? So the students are given a balloon, a straw, and a paper reindeer, and they are given some tape. As you can see on the wall, the string is taped right underneath the picture of the chimney. And on the chimney, there's a 25 point in the center. There's a 10 and a 10 beside it and a 15 underneath it. So what they're trying to do is get that balloon from the end of the string the reindeer, excuse me, from the end of the string to the chimney, and they want it to hit that 25-point mark. I don't give them any help. I let them try to figure it out on their own. As you can see in this first picture, the reindeer moved a little bit, but the balloon fell. So that was a failed project. They attempt, I should say. They started over and they finally figured it out. So what you have to do is you take that balloon, you tape the straw to the balloon, you run the string through that straw, and you tape that reindeer to the balloon. You blow the balloon up, hold the string taut, and then it goes from point A to point B. So they finally figured it out in that second picture. Yes, not math related, unless we wanted to take our points and multiply and divide those by powers of 10 as well. Then we can make that math related. But the measurement at the beginning is. That's another fun project they love. Okay, here's another one on Elf Day. Most of these children have had an elf on the shelf. So we build a shelf for our elf. They have a certain number of popsicle sticks that they use, and they are given one little jar of Play-Doh, or canister of Play-Doh, I should say. They build it, and I do not tell them that their elf has to withstand an earthquake. So after they are finished building, then I go through and shake desk, and we find out which shelf was the sturdiest, and that team gets a prize. So as you can see on their desk, they are coming up with a design. They have to draw their design out. They have to agree on a design. And then I do allow them to rebuild it and better their design and try again. So that's just something fun that I do. These kids, I thought it was hilarious. They made their elf a seatbelt so that he would not fall off. Okay. A culminating activity that we also do at the end of the year in 5th grade is our KOA camping day. And luckily, my 5th grade math and science friend, Miss Star Peterson, owns the KOA campground. So that's wonderful. Kids love it. It's one of their favorite things to do. We do make this educational, as you can see. Fossils are part of our standard in 5th grade science. So we buy the little fossil bricks. We give them their little tools. They dig out their little fossils, and it's not just the digging of it. There is an information page that they get with that, and it shows them what kind of fossil it is, what it came from, whether or not that specific thing is extinct anymore. So it's kind of a learning activity as well. And the students take their little fossils over here where they can pan, and then they will clean them off to figure out what they have. In this picture on the left, again, we have a secretary's child and one of our principal's children, sweet girls. But behind them, you see the cabins at the KOA. We will take our tape measures and we will go find the perimeter of that cabin. We will also measure and find the volume of that cabin. We will find the length, the width, and the height, and multiply those, find the volume. So we incorporate math within our KOA day as well. If you will look on the right, you can see that the students are they're in the store having a blast. We do send notes home to the parents, and we tell them that they are allowed to bring money with them if they want to buy, little treats or snacks or drinks or whatever from the store. So Star and I take the memo pads, where the same ones that we actually used on our food trucks, and the students have to add up their totals of what they're going to buy. And then she has workers in there who will help them with the tax. And then they add the tax, and then they have to subtract and figure out how much change they're going to get back. So they're not only in there having fun and buying, they're actually adding and subtracting decimal numbers. And these two girls both have their little memo pads where they're doing their math to figure out if they have enough money or how much change they're going to get in return. Okay. There are other STEAM resources that I came across. Science Buddies is actually very user-friendly. I love that they have little videos that go along with them. There was an ice cream in a bag. This one you could also incorporate adding and subtracting fractions when you're adding things into your bag. Let me click on this one and I'll show you what this looks like. You can go type in whatever grade level you are teaching or working with. You can see here the key concepts are freezing, phases of matter, which is a 5th grade standard. Solutions and mixtures are also a 5th grade science standard. Freezing, point depression. It gives you a little video. It tells you exactly what you need for that particular activity with your students. And then it also tells you just about how long it's going to take. The instructions are super simple and easy. I think 5th graders I could probably post this in Google Classroom and they could probably just go through and read and follow them themselves. So that is an interesting site that I have found several different things on. Building a popsicle catapult is another one. The students love this one. It only takes 10 to 20 minutes. I love how fast these are, these don't take all day long. Physics, engineering, kinetic potential energy, and projectile motion. Again, when they are projecting this object, they can use measurement and conversions. Measure how far the object went. Now let's convert that from feet to inches, inches to feet. Let's use metric conversions. So that's how I incorporate math a lot of times with some of these STEAM activities. A solar oven, that's the next one. We've made this one in the past. So students can build a solar oven and they can actually make s'mores. Obviously, you have to watch the weather and pick the right day. But this is a fun one. And it only takes 20 to 30 minutes. And then energy, solar power, sun, heat, cooking, and recycling. That is, those are the main things that this one covers. But they're very simple. And I love the layout of sciencebuddies.org. All right, it looks like I have a few minutes, so I may go back and go over, let's see, Christmas tree day. That's what I skipped. Let me go back and show you what Christmas tree day looks like. Okay. Like I said before, these Christmas days start off with the reading activities first. And those of you who are reading ELA teachers, I want you to see these. The pictures are beautiful. It's some information about Christmas trees then and now. Then there are samples of student work that you can show. They give you ideas of books that you can read. This is a book summary. So the students describe the events in depth, drawing on specific details in the text, write the events in order, starting at the top of the tree. There's an example right there. These are the problems that I like to use in math, the Christmas tree day math story problems. Right now, we are working on dividing 4-digit dividends by 2-digit divisors. And this one actually has those types of questions right here. So one Christmas tree is decorated with 5,208 light bulbs on 24 strands. How many bulbs are on each strand? So these are some multiplication and division problems. Again, I like to use these as a scoop to get the kids up moving around the room. I might put these on red and green construction paper, and they would go around with a partner and work those specific problems out. There are also mental math cards that they can use to play games with. And on every one of these days, there is actually an art craft that they do along with the particular theme. Last year, I think we made ornaments out of the popsicle sticks with the trees, and I bought little stars and little gems and buttons and things for them to decorate those. And here are decimal cards, division of decimals. So these are just fun activities that the kids love. Let me show you Elf Day as well. The kids love Elf Day. They come up with their elf name. Let me show you this. This is fun. So find the first letter of your first name. So my elf name would be Twinkles Pinestead. And they keep that little placard with them all day long. And we do different elf type activities. Obviously, the math, science, one was the elf on the shelf. That went along with this. There's a story map for you ELA teachers. There is a reader's theater as well. Let me get to the math part on this one too. I think there's some more. All right, this one, they work on rounding. They also work on finding percent. It's not really a fifth grade standard, but fractions are, so we can talk about how that relates to fractions as well. There's another rounding page that goes along with this. So there are just lots of different things that you can use within these days. All right, let's look at reindeer. There is one thing that I do love in here for the reindeer day. There are math games within this one, and we run off the little reindeer heads and they use them to play Connect Four on these days as well. Sorry, I could not link these because they are paid. All right, here's the math. So it's like 4 in a row. The number I rolled was, and you just use dice, but it's fun because you print these off and then they use the little reindeer heads to keep their places while they're playing 4 in a row. So whatever number they rolled, it has to be less than 42 and it has to be odd. A multiple of 2. So the whole point of these is to get 4 in a row. There's a multiplication, a number that's divisible by 5, a number that rounds to 20. So again, the kids love these theme days. There are also story problems that go along with these as well. And always a craft. We love our arts as well. Does anyone have any questions for me? I know I did not quite take up my full time.
You have a lot of comments in the chat. So,
well, I was just looking and I don't know where the chat went.
Oh, that's okay. I can read them to you. So, a couple of the chats.
I see it.
Okay. Okay, good.
Okay. Okay. This is wonderful. Oh, looks like Miss Leanne found the 12 Days of Christmas for me and she put that in the chat. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Leanne. Someone just said that they went to the www.thecorecoaches, searched 12 Days of Christmas, and it has a form to sign up for emails, and they sent 128 pages of content for free. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. If y'all have any questions, feel free to email me at any time or to reach out to me and we can talk. I love to incorporate STEAM and STEM anytime I can. The kids love it and it's so good for them and it's good for us too. The days that I do these things, I feel like I'm happier because I feel like I've done what these children need and given them what they need, which is creativity, designing, engineering, it's what makes them happy, and it's what makes us happy too. And I know it's hard sometimes to find time, but obviously we can't do it every day. We all have pacing guides that we need to keep up with, and we have policies, but it's so good for the students. So were there any questions in there that I needed to answer?
No, there's no questions in the comment. You had some
Okay.
more comments
Ah.
on, great job.
Okay, I have one more thing that I want to share.
Sure.
I just remembered that I have this. I am gonna have to log in. Let me see if I can get into my teachers real quick.
While you're doing that, I have one participant on here and I don't know your last name. It's Kelly's iPhone.
Is it Kelly Baker?
So Kelly, if you can put your last name in the chat or just let me know.
Okay. Let me show you this one last thing since we have a little bit of time left, not much. I have not used this one yet, but I am going to use this one this year, and I'm very, very excited about it. It is a playground architect STEM project. So the students design a playground. Again, there is nothing that the teacher has to do. It's so user friendly. I have not used it yet. I bought it this year, so I'm planning on using it later. It covers several different standards: multiplying, dividing, measurement, volume, again. So there are 31 pages that go along with this. I think it was $6. Y'all may have seen that when I pulled it up. I don't remember, but I think it was around 6. Review the supplies needed on slide 5 to ensure students have all that. Hold on, let me show you what they're going to do. So they have paper, pencils, rulers, scissors, glue, markers. To get your creative juices flowing, you want to create a scaled model of your playground proposal on a sheet of paper. So they start off by taking a sheet of paper and they trim it so that it has the dimensions that they need in order to start. So then they find a perimeter in the area. There are several pages that go along with this. This one could probably, you could make this project last a week to 2 weeks if you wanted to. So they're making, they have to put up a fence around their playground, and they have to use either wood, metal, or PVC. So they do research about those 3 materials, and they have to list the pros and cons of that. And then they have prices per section. They have to figure out how much they need of each thing. So there are, decimals, adding and subtracting. They have a budget the principal has set. It's $3,180 for the fence. How much money will you have left over after building your proposed fence? So it just goes on. And there's area and perimeter. They have to include a certain number of features on their playground. Here's that. Your playground must include a jungle gym. You must have at least 6 playground features. There must be at least 5 feet between the features. So there are guidelines that they must follow on this particular project as well, which I love. So that's another one that I'm very, very anxious to try as well. Again, teachers pay teachers, but it was a great one. There were several standards that were incorporated within this particular project. So, all right, I guess that's about it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I don't mind brainstorming ideas with you of how we can incorporate math within science, because that's what I'm trying to do more of this year. The students love the science projects, and that's kind of my main goal this year. So let me go back to my slideshow because I have, let's see, I have one more thing for you. Goodness, I've lost it. I've got so much stuff pulled up. Okay, I have to show you my last slide, then I'll be done. All right, here it is. I thought I would end with a meme. I make sure my students have time for creative activities like coloring every day with number 2 pencils, bubbling in circles on standardized tests. Again, I know it's hard for us to find time, but the kids love it and we love it. And I appreciate all of you for what you do. Your job is super important, and you are all special for doing what you do. So with that, thank you for tuning in and listening, and let me know if you have any questions.
Hey, Dana,
Yes.
when Sierra Wood mentioned, she asked a question in the chat, will we get all of the links for the recent resources in a follow-up email? Could you send that PowerPoint or share it with me if you don't mind?
Yes, I will.
And then that way I can send that out to teachers so that they can get the resources.
Yes, I sure will. I don't mind at all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was wonderful. I think he did a great job. And so I don't apologize for just saying, oh, it's just math. But no, I think it's great that you showed how you could use this across the curriculum in STEAM.
Yes.
So great job, because we never just teach one subject in its standalone silo. We all are teaching across the curriculum every day when we're incorporating STEM and STEAM. So
I
thank you
agree.
so much. I appreciate
Thank you.
your workshop today. I will send out a follow-up email with Miss Dana's links and PowerPoints so that you can see the resources and use those and have those for reference. We also will have this meeting on our YouTube channel. So I'll put that in the follow-up email as well. You'll get your professional development certificate later in the week. It'll probably be about Thursday before I can get you the follow-up email as well. Also, if you look, David Tate put in the links again for our hub and for the lending library and how to get in touch with him if you're looking for any resources that you would like to check out. And he also put a link there for our Facebook page. This is the last workshop of the fall semester. I have not completed the entire lineup for spring. I still have a couple dates I'm waiting on to hear back from some teachers. And as soon as that is completed, I will have David post that on the website. We'll post it on Facebook, and then I'll send out an email with those dates as well. Are there any last comments or questions before we go today? All right. Well, y'all have a great day. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Miss Dana, for presenting for us today. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you all supporting the STEM Hub. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.